Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is miahtheking, and I hate it when people say age is only a number. Age is clearly a word. Thank you very much for clicking on my video. I hope you stick around. If not for the funny jokes at the start, then perhaps because that can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Don't believe me? Then stick around and find out. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Viking Frontiers, a first-person survival game reminiscent of games like Sengoku Dynasty and Medieval Dynasty, at least in terms of general gameplay, only this time you play as a Viking. Definitely an interesting idea. So, is it worth it? Well, let's find out. Developed by Bloom Entertainment and published by Game Hunters and Playway SA. Hey, I know Playway SA. I've reviewed a lot of their games. Released not in early access and selling for $20. So what even is this game anyway? Well, it's exactly as I said earlier. You are the young jarl of a clan who was forced to run from a rival clan called the Wolf Clan. While escaping, your ships ran into a storm, was blown off course, and landed on some random island. Since y'all had to flee your old home, you decided that you'd just set up here in this new area and build yourselves back up and eventually take a revenge on the Wolf Clan. Now, as always, let's go into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts, shall we? So, up first for the positives was the price tag. I saw the potential size and scope of this game, along with now playing it and actually feeling the gameplay and the rest of the intricate designs of development here, and when I look back and see that it's only charging $20, I can't help but be impressed. That is a fantastic price tag for everything you're getting here, and we're going to go into everything you're getting here later. For now, though, it's a good price tag, and you're not getting screwed over, so keep that in mind as we go forward. Next up for the positives is the gameplay. The gameplay here is typically what you'd expect, especially if you're familiar with first-person survival games. It's pretty much got it all. As I said in the intro, the game is very similar to Medieval Dynasty and Sengoku Dynasty, with the construction of buildings, the assigning of villagers, the connecting of shops and buildings for the transfer and crafting of goods, as well as keeping your people happy, recruiting new ones, unlocking newer technologies, and so on and so forth. But it's basically this. You set down blueprints for larger buildings and then have to build them bit by bit with resources you gather. With more advanced workshops, you can refine resources and get more advanced stuff and just progress this way, all while maintaining your people's happiness with enough food or fuel for the fire and more stuff. Of course, you need to keep your own stats up as well along the way, but that's not really the main concern, is it? As anyone who's played these games understands. No. Main concern here is keeping your people happy to keep production up. Like, that's the main concern here. Let's not kid ourselves. Screw yourself. It's all about them, right? But what I really liked with the gameplay here was all the little animations they added in. There's an animation for everything, and I love it. You need to craft a new tool in the workshop, animation of seeing you do it. Need to smelt some ore, animation for doing it. Need to saw logs into different logs or firewood or planks, animation for doing it. There's tons of little animations scattered about to really help the player feel immersed and engaged with the gameplay, and after a while I actually found myself getting addicted to wanting more and more, to do more and more, to see more and more. All in all, the gameplay here was really good. It worked really well, it played really well, felt comfortable, and overall was an enjoyable experience. I can't think of one thing while I was playing that really had me going, scratching my head or annoyed or frustrated. No, everything in the gameplay here worked really well and kept me engaged. Like, this is a good sign. Just keep in mind that this is a typical survival builder shit, sorry about that, and not anything different or innovative. But it's still fun and engaging. I didn't get to experience any real combat yet, but I did experience hunting, and I've played a lot of these games to kind of know what to expect depending on what you're doing based on certain things, so like you can kind of judge what combat is going to be when you're doing hunting. And while I didn't get to see everything here, I did get to see a lot, and overall I think it's going to be a fun ride further down the road, so I'm not too concerned about that. Next up for the positives would be the stability and the idea. The idea here is quite interesting, as instead of playing as some medieval peasant or whatever, you're actually the Jarl, which means your people pay you taxes, and you actually get to make leader-like choices amongst your villagers, and it makes more sense here. And as a Viking, that leaves a lot of interesting ideas and possibilities. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I'm fairly certain you'll be able to raid other clans or other places once you get your docks up and some ships built and maybe some weapons forged. And the idea of that in a game like this really interests me, and I'm super interested in exploring that more. Then you've got the overall stability of the game. I found it ran very well, at least for me. It never crashed or froze or glitched or even dropped frames. It just ran super smooth, and this obviously helped my overall enjoyment with the experience. So those are the only things I could think of worth mentioning for the positives. Now I got to go into the negatives, but before that, consider joining my kingdom. I'm getting closer and closer to 5,000 subs and trying really hard to get there, and it would mean a lot to me if you guys could help me get there. Also, I do these videos to try and help you save money and time, but I can't do that if you don't see them, and you need to hit the bell because that will let you know whenever I put out new content. So help me to help you to help me to help you, and hit that bell so you can stay informed and save some time and money. All right? Now on to the negatives. So the first negative for me was the graphics. Now this isn't that big of a deal because they aren't even that bad. They're not like great or anything, but they're definitely lacking in a few regards, like contrasting differentiations as well as color choices and blending. There's definitely a lack of good quality here, but overall it wasn't even the worst that I've seen. And honestly, To me, graphics aren't really that big of a deal depending on the gameplay and the idea and the writing, but you know, there are people out there who get bothered by this, so I still wanted to mention it. They're bad, but they're not like awful, you know what I mean? Next up for the negatives is the sound design. Again, it's not the worst with what you can hear, but it's very, very minimal voice acting. Like, the only voice acting you get is when your guy has to say that he's hungry. Great, awesome. But there's absolutely no music and below average sound effects. So the sound quality here is probably the game's worst feature. I wanted some Viking music. I want some more ambiance or heavy hitting sound effects, maybe more voice actors. You know, I was highly disappointed with the overall sound quality here, as it's all either absent or just below average. Very disappointing on the sound quality here. The next negative point for me was the tutorial. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. It is one of those tutorials where the devs write out 5 paragraphs of useless information, freeze your game with a tiny pop-up, and despite writing out 5 paragraphs, I still have no idea how to get where they want me to get. For instance, the tutorial doesn't tell you how to get peat, which you need to complete the next objective. I didn't even know what it was and had to look it up and couldn't figure out how to get it whatsoever and needed it for several buildings. Despite trying everything, Googling it and looking everywhere, I couldn't find peat anywhere or how to get it or how to use it or what to do when I got it. Considering the tutorial is about 5 paragraphs long, you'd think they'd at least mention somewhere, somehow, either with tooltips, which there are none, or tutorials, how to get peat. But no, this legit stopped me dead in my tracks, couldn't progress at all anymore, and was just running around blindless. Kind of super infuriating, because until now, I was really digging the game. But it turns out that there's a little tiny pile of dirt by the nearby pond that's hard to see that you have to dig up, and that's peat. Really frustrating that the game couldn't inform me or give me a hint or a clue or a tidbit or anything about the actual resources of the game. Oh, by the way, this is what peat is. Peat is partially decayed plant matter, primarily formed in waterlogged conditions like bogs or peatlands, that accumulates over long periods and is often used as a fuel source or in horticulture. Obviously, this, to me, meant I had to craft it somehow, or search around the ocean. This didn't work, clearly, as I couldn't find it. This is just one example of how lacking the tutorial is. It's too much information, and it's not even the right kind of information. Most of me learning the game was me actually learning the game and doing it myself and exploring and doing random stuff, and I hate it when tutorials freaking do this. Either do it right or don't do it at all, so that wasn't cool. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but if I didn't, I'm going to say it again for anybody out there. It's little tiny piles of dirt right next to the other tiny piles of dirt that look exactly like them. That's clay, except it'll be called peat. Just look for a pond or a river and you should find some. So there. And last but not least for the negatives is the user interface. I hate how it works, and I don't really like how it looks either. Now, when you're just running around doing stuff, it's fine. You know, the UI you see on your main screen, it does its job fairly well. But when you're in menus for building, crafting, or refining, that's where it starts to get ridiculous and badly organized. But here's an example of me not liking how it works. You have to unequip a weapon or item off your character just to see it in your inventory. Otherwise, it's not there. It doesn't exist. And then you have to move it to the hotbar, and you can't do that if it's equipped. So if you build an item, it's automatically equipped, and then you got to go into your inventory, take it off your character, unequipped it, to move it to the hotbar just to equip it again. Also, for some reason, your character will randomly build things on his own without you having to do anything, as well as grabbing things on his own. Like I would be running by and he would just randomly pick up a log. I have no idea why. I don't know if this is a mechanic or if this is a bug, but it was really getting annoying because just as he builds on his own, he'll also open up things on his own. So you'll frequently find yourself building a chest, then being forced into it, which it has its own little animation. So you'll find yourself doing this constantly because you didn't even know you were among the glitch at the time. The only way to see the health of your tools is to actually go into your inventory and look at them. It's not obvious outside the menus, which is a bit annoying. It's hard to navigate and things are badly organized inside your inventory menus. For most things, you can only craft one at a time. Like if you wanted to craft more than one axe because you've got 2 lumberjacks over there, you have to go in, craft it, go out, back in, craft it again. Like I don't know why I can't just craft as many as I want as long as I have the materials. And there's other minor things like that just totally scattered about. I'm not sure if it's a UI problem or a controls/mechanics problem, but it does make navigating the menus and doing random jobs a bit more annoying as it's not smooth, streamlined, or intuitive at all. It just makes it annoying. So that's about all I got for the pros and the cons. What are my final thoughts? Well, honestly, I was kind of digging the game. Not gonna lie. Despite its flaws, most of them aren't really that bad, and while annoying can, for the most part, either be ignored or forgiven due to the quality of everything else. Am I disappointed with the sound design? Sure. Am I disappointed that this isn't co-op so I can play it with my wife? That one really gets me. As well as a few other things. But in my opinion, for 20 bucks and with everything else in this game, I think this is a pretty damn good investment. If you're into survival games, then I think you're really gonna like this. Here's the key takeaways. It's an affordable price, components, it's not broken, it's not badly designed, and you're not getting ripped off. As long as you know exactly what kind of game you're getting into, that is, then you will not be disappointed. So yes, obviously I recommend this game. I think it's a very fun game, and maybe with a few months of patches, it'll become even better as they iron out some of those kinks. For 20 bucks, this is a safe investment, and I encourage everyone to check it out. All right, everybody? All right, so that's all the time I got for today. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.